Namaste, this is Trish from Tricky Design, and today we have a special guest. He's made a platform for himself. He's a social worker who's won an award for what he's doing best. Venturing from an international place, Nepal, he's making a mark for himself in Australia. So let's welcome Mr. Bhabish.
Hello, namaste.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you so much for having, coming to the show, because I was like, all right, do you want to, last time I had a conversation with him and I was like, oh man, you've done a lot in your life. Like, do you want to come in the podcast that my brother has? And then I'm like, without a flinch, he was just like, yeah, sure. And thank you so much for that.
No, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. And then, I'm a little bit intimidated at the moment because as I was having a conversation with him today, I've realized that he's got an experience in social media and then media person. He's interviewed a lot of people, and he also has you know what, actually, let's talk about that. So tell us more about that from your, tell us more about what you did and what you've done, and tell your journey here in Australia.
Sure. So what I did back in 2020, it was end of 2020 when we started the Everest Role with Bhabishs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was organized through a community-based media called Everest TV.
And that's based in Sydney, Australia.
That's based in Sydney, that's right. And the motto of this show basically was to gather people, particularly from Nepali community here in Australia, and share these stories of struggles, success, and what they have been through and how they have achieved what they wanted when they arrived first in Australia.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, it's basically knowing their journey. And I feel like in the process of doing that, you're connecting to the community.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Wow.
And we actually had recently had a program which was named Connecting the Community.
Wow, that is really good.
Yeah.
And who's the brain behind that? Like,
So Titha Rai, which we call Titha Katira,
Okay.
is the director,
okay.
was the owner of the Business Bees and the Everest TV. And we had a couple of different shows and also a news bulletin
Yeah.
in our community media, of course, the Everest TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, now, because of the study commitment and all those kind of
Yeah.
it's been on and off.
Okay.
But yeah, we did around 42 episodes
Wow.
in 2020 and 2021.
That's really cool.
Which really made an impact, I believe, because sharing the stories of people, particularly for those who want to come here and want to achieve something, really makes a profound impact on them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There are so many different stories which are really inspiring and motivating to at least do something.
Oh, for
and
sure.
make
Yeah.
an impact, big or small, no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did.
Wow. So your role in that that experience one. Now, what was your role? Like, what was you like? You did interviews. You were part of a media behind the cameras. What was your responsibility?
Well, I was the program producer and the host.
Wow.
And we had.
Hence, I'm intimidated.
And we had a fabulous team, which made everything's possible, right?
Yeah.
From the camera person to the director and all the staff that were located back in Nepal as well, who used to help us in the video editing, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. All right, so you said that, so we jumped straight into like what you did, but you came as an international student. You want to tell the viewers what you studied and what that has got yourself, like a platform in Australia. Like, would you like to share that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I arrived in Australia back in early 2020. It was end of February, just before the COVID lockdown, actually.
Oh, lucky you.
I was pretty lucky, considering many of my friends
Yeah.
who were waiting for their visa, and they had actually booked the flight tickets for a couple of months later on, who got stuck because of all the lockdown.
Oh my, reality, eh? Oh my God, yeah.
So considering that, I'm pretty lucky in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, transitioning from on campus for a couple of weeks to online studies.
So you were part of the online study.
I was.
Oh my God, yeah. So what were you studying?
I studied Bachelor of Social Work from Western Sydney University. It's a 4 years long program.
Yeah.
But a very rewarding degree, I must say. And given my background, which I started my social activism when I was 13 years old.
Ridiculous.
From a
No
child
way. Oh my God.
And after that, I started to be involved in various social and youth organizations and started campaigning, particularly for child-friendly local governance. And
And that was back in Nepal.
that was back in Nepal. That's right.
Wow. So it's not like, all right, you know what? I'm going to come to, because I know social work is one of like those skill thing where you get PR in Australia. But then yours is not about that. Yours is more about passion. It's more about like, oh, this is what I'd been wanting to do as a child. And you continue doing that here.
Right.
Wow, that's very impressive. So touching upon all the social causes and things like that, is there any memorable like social cause that you've done or you want to do?
I think the important social cause that I campaigned for when I was back in Nepal was about advocating for child rights and involving children in the decision making process. Because what I really believe is that if we are making the policies for someone for a specific group of people, a community, then those people need to be involved. Because those policies will be impacting them directly, right?
Wow,
so they need to
yeah.
have their voice.
Definitely.
But back then, it wasn't the case, particularly for children in Nepal, when the municipalities and the state federal government used to make policies for children. There wasn't much representation. It was basically tokenism, I would say.
Wow, yeah.
They used to have children just for the sake of representation.
Yeah, but not really.
Meaningful participation was not really present over there.
Wow.
So that was the main reasons why I was so passionate about advocating as a child for myself and my fellow, friends. So that's where I started my journey.
That is ridiculous. Like I was not even mentally prepared for that answer. Like, wow. So are you saying like in Nepal, like there was a presence of child rights, but it was lacking? And there was not enough representation. Yeah,
not enough representation, and a lot of social issues, particularly child marriage, child labor, and all those kind of issues, which is not, of course, prevalent in Nepal, but in many countries across the globe. But of course, being a citizen of Nepal, being involved in the community, I saw that as one of the prominent issues back then. And that was something that fueled my passion to do something in that field and to advocate for the child-friendly local governance, child-friendly infrastructures. But yeah. Yeah, so now I'm really intrigued. Like, so you're talking about that. So what actions did you take? Like, did you actually go out there, like, collected, like, group of these people, or did campaigns, like, fundraising? What did you do? Great question. So what we did is, firstly, I started at social activism from a child club. So it was a group of other children like me who were motivated for another change, right? That's so remarkable, yeah. So our child club, what we did, we used to participate in all the decision-making processes. We used to be involved in all the governmental programs, which was linked to the children, which impacted us as the children back then. So what we basically did, particularly we campaigned and advocated for the child-friendly local governance. It basically means implementing child-friendly policies, making child-friendly infrastructures, basically making our environment child-friendly. Because as we consider children as the future of the world, but they're also the present stakeholders. So, having their presence in not only in the decision-making process, but also in the implementation is as much as crucial, I believe. So that was the biggest thing I think we campaigned for back then. But I also got involved in other youth and social organizations where I had the opportunity to be involved in various particular social community causes. Yeah, wow. You really live up to your name. So, Bhabish, oh my God, I keep getting this Bhabish. Bhabish. Like, it's literally like
like future. And then, wow, like you're working towards future. And then for a great impact. I am just absolutely blown away. Wow. So what about here in Australia? Now let's talk about what have you done in Australia? Are there are you still advocating such a policy or reforms that you would like to implement here? Or tell us what you're doing at the moment. Yeah.
Sure. So,
Jamaica. Yeah.
what I did, so particularly within the university, when I was in my second year, I got nominated and elected in the non-residential Nepali Association, NRNA in short, Student Advisory Council as a National Deputy Coordinator. And I was particularly heavily involved, in other organizations. And currently I'm also the Executive Advisor for Nepali students in Western Sydney. And I'm also the part of the Vice Chancellor International Student Advisory Committee within the university. Yeah. So being involved in those advisory groups really helped me to voice the concern and to be the voice of the voiceless, basically.
Oh my God, yeah.
And represent them in terms of improving and enhancing international students' experiences, not only in the university, but also outside of the university, because university life is much more than sitting in a lecture hall, right?
Definitely. And we need to grab that. I don't think we get those opportunities back home. I think we are at plus point as an international student coming here and doing that, and which is great. So now, as you mentioned, you applied for that award. So tell us more about the award. Like what let's dwell more into it. What was the process? Was there a process, or somebody just came and say, oh, you're doing a great job, here's your award? Or did you actually have to apply? How does that work? How did that work?
So since I was involved in various voluntary and community organizations, so I particularly advocated and organized various workshops in mental health and well-being. That was my major focus.
We move away from youth and children to mental health. Okay.
Yeah, so mental health, and that was that is absolutely one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I will keep continuing advocating for, improve mental well-being for every not just international students, but everyone.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah. And because of that, there were so many different awards that recognized people that are making impact in the community. So I definitely gathered a lot of evidences, including what I did when after I arrived in Australia, and applied for a couple of them. So the recent one that I won is the Western Sydney Unsung Heroes Award, also called a Chancellor's Unsung Heroes Award. Which is a big recognition, particularly for an individual who has made an impact in the Greater Western Sydney region. And of course, mine was about improving the mental health and well-being and advocating for international students by being in the major council like Vice Chancellor International Student Advisory Committee. And particularly for social work, I'm also the undergraduate representative in the social work advisory committee within the School of Social Science of our university.
Oh my God,
so
you have time for yourself? Like, hello, wow. That's a lot. Like, I feel like he has lived for so long, like with all the achievements and then everything. Wow, that's ridiculous. Wow. And then, as you mentioned, you're the voice for the voices, and then wow, and then look at the award that he's got. Like, I think you so deserve it. Absolutely deserve it. All right. So in saying that, is there any future? Like, obviously you talked about mental health, but is there anything that you would like to do, or like any venture that you would want to take in future?
I mean, even as a professional, as a social worker, of course, I'm really into mental health, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm looking to work in the mental health area, of course, to get more knowledge specifically in that area as a professional, and to give back to the community, which has given me so much of opportunities to thrive and be who am I today.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel like this could be a reflection of your mom and dad, or like a family. Tell us more about that. Like, obviously, like, I feel like we like as a teacher, we always like, oh, like sometimes we say, all right, the child is mirroring the parents, you know, and then all the good behavior you can see, and then you can see the parents as well, and you know where it's coming from. Tell us more about where this personality and this, you know, this mindset is coming from. Yeah.
Sure. So yes, you are correct that the reason I got into social activism was because of my parents.
Wow.
Because my dad was a political leader back then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, someone who was really passionate about helping people, making a positive impact in the community, and doing something what he loved really stood out for me. And following his footsteps, I guess, being involved into the social activism was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
And my mom later on got involved into the politics as well, and she actually served as a deputy mayor for the Satajopari rural municipality.
Wow.
For 5 years.
Kathmandu, or
No,
is
that
it
was
like-
in Dhankura. That is the eastern part of Nepal.
So is that where you are from?
Yes, that's right. It's pretty near to Darjeeling and Sikkim. Yeah.
No, I know. I think there are like 3 regions. I know, like
Yeah.
Marae, Naki,
Hilly and
Hilly.
mountain.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tinta,
So
Tinta
we
region.
actually, we belong to hilly region.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Dhankura.
Dhankura is in hilly region. It's a very
East Mao?
eastern,
West Mao?
east.
Oh, eastern. Yeah.
so it's-
You'd be more closer to Delhi and like, oh,
I'm not sure of Delhi, but
Oh.
I'm pretty sure of Darjeeling.
yeah,
Dogra,
yeah.
Siliguri, and all
Yeah, that's where we're from,
Yeah.
Darjeeling. Yeah. Wow. Oh, so that's how it was. Because I was like, wait, like at a young age, at 13 years old, when you're like going around playing hide and seek or Askel the like in the tablet, like to come up with an idea of a social impact would have to have an influence. Like, you know, so I thought I was like, wait, maybe you do have a story. So that's an interesting story. Like, are your parents still into politics at the moment or like now they're like done?
Yeah. Well, my father's no more.
Mm.
He
passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
15,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
but my mom is still very active. in
Wow.
terms of, you know, various community organizations back in Nepal,
Yeah.
Including the Red
Cross, in the forestry department and whatnot. She's very actively involved. To be honest,
Wow.
I don't remember the number of organizations she's in. But yeah, she's doing great, and that really motivates me.
all the time.
That is so good. And I think like obviously your dad, wherever, like, you know, I think he's so proud of you at the moment because you carried on the legacy. You're literally carrying on what he started and what your mom is doing at the moment. And you're doing that here. Like I think it's a proper moment to like come all the way from, as I say, an international land to Australia and to do that and to make an impact as well. So we, you know, like let's go back, like way back to like our first question. You know, when you said like 42 episodes of like Everest, like how did you choose? Like, all right, like did you just like walk in the train and be like, all right, can you come in my like talk show, or how did that happen? Like,
Very
Ha-
interesting question.
yeah,
Since we were focusing about people in the Nepali community who are doing something that is making an impact, who are standing out of the crowd, we started to reach out to the community because I think that's the best, you know, place to actually get the suggestions directly from the people who are in the community.
oh for sure, yeah,
who they think, you know, is inspiring, who they think have done something remarkable, and their stories can be really inspiring for people who are just starting out, who have already been here for a while as well. It's really
Yeah.
inspiring for everyone.
yeah,
So absolutely, the motive was to basically spread the positiveness, spread the success stories
yeah,
in the community, and we reached out to the community members and asked them who they thought was the person who would be best fit to share these stories and who would be comfortable with it.
yeah,
That's how we actually got people from various areas, actually, be it, you know, education, migration, health sector,
yeah.
that's a real estate, you know, you name it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Wow. And I feel like, as you mentioned, like, you know, their story is their story, and then it can resonate to our story, you know. I feel like it can be a bit more inspirational. Like, for example, you know, sometimes when you're low, as you said, you worked in the mental health thing as well. I feel like sometimes you're so mentally drained and like thing to a point where you don't want to move forward. And like, you know, I'm like, oh no, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, you know, so I think that that's so great that you connected with all of that. Would you ever do that now, like in future, like when you have a little bit more extra time with, you know, all these things that he does? But would you ever do that?
Why not? I think I would absolutely love to get back in the media, you know, because media is something I'm really passionate about too, because I was a radio jockey back in Nepal, in Itari FM. I used to run a weekly program called Children to Youth. It was again about it was again about showcasing the talent, the hidden talent, I might say, about the children and the youths who were doing something good in the community, in Itari in particular. So that's what I did, and because of that, I also majored in mass communication and journalism in my high school, because I was, you know, just really passionate about it. So it really gave me an extra insight of what the world of journalism looks like, and what mass communication really is. So I had a bit of a theoretical knowledge from there, along with the, you know, hands-on experience from the radio journey and the Everest show that I recently.
And I think your passion as well. Let's add his passion to help other people, and I think to have a heart to help many more other hearts is just remarkable. It's really inspiring. All right, so before we close down our podcast, is there any you know, suggestions that you like to give to like new international students, like people who doesn't even have family here? Like, you know, is there any suggestions or advices that you'd like to give them?
I'm surprised that we're already in the end of the...
Yeah, I know. Right? Like, because we get cues, you know, that we're
do.
too much.
That's okay. But I think the advice that I would really give to any international students, or anyone really arriving in Australia, wanting to do something wherever they are located, is to firstly look after themselves is really important. That can be done in various ways, you know, staying connected with your family, going out with them. So that, because what I always believe is an empty cup cannot pour water. So you need to be physically and mentally prepared for anything that you want to do. And once you maintain that well-being, and of course make the most out of every opportunity that lies wherever you're located. For example, if you are a student at the university, the college, search out for what sort of leadership programs or what other programs apart from your studies are available in the university, which can help you to be prepared professionally and personally, not just getting a degree out of the university. So that's really important.
I think those are perks that a lot of international students don't know, right? Like, I feel like they go to uni and then they're tired from studying, and obviously they have to do part-time job as well, and then they don't have time to look at other clubs or like other things where you get to make network, isn't it? Like, like in Australia, I personally feel it's so important to make networks, is it not?
It is, yes.
What do you reckon?
And that is the reason we actually started our Nepali students at Western Sydney Club in our university this April. It was actually started back in 2019.
Yeah, I was like, when did that start? Like, you know,
It was started back in 2019, but it actually got collapsed because of the inactiveness during the COVID.
Makes sense.
But we revamped it earlier this year from April.
Were you the forefront, like, were you one of the soldiers in the front?
I was one of the founding members. So we started from 3 members.
Yeah.
And now we have more than 410 members.
Stop it, you just gave me chills. That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about, you know, again, building up the network and helping each other to thrive.
Definitely.
In their career, in their academic life, or in their personal life.
Yeah. So, well, I hope like viewers and like international students are watching this, and then you go to Western Sydney University. You know who to find.
Absolutely.
Right here, okay? Yeah, but I'm sure that's not just going to stay in Western Sydney, you know, university. That's going to expand. I can see the future. I can see the Bhabish done by Bhabish. So yeah, well, thank you so much for coming over. It was lovely having a chat.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you to my beautiful wife, Sunaina, as well.
It was actually because of her that I got connected to him.
Yeah.
Well, before we finish, extra story there. the reason why I know him is because his wife makes candles, and then these lovely candles right here, and she also does diffusers, and she also has like other products. You can check her in the Essence, right?
Yes, the Essence.
And she's got Instagram account. She's got like this website as well that you can order things. So, story behind how I met this wonderful man that I did not know had done such a remarkable impact in the community is because of that. And I ordered a couple of candles, and then obviously Sonisha was like a bit like, I think she was busy, and she's like, yeah, I'll send my husband, my partner, and then her brother, to like drop off. And I was like, okay. So they literally came with a box to drop off a parcel, and then I just had a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then this guy was just so humble. Like, he didn't say a word. He just smiled, and and then his brother was next to him, and then he told me, oh, he does this. He's won an award. He's a social worker. I got connected to him because of the community, right?
Because of the club.
Because of the club. He got
Yeah.
connected to him
Yeah.
because of the club. So, what's his name? Starts with the R.
Roshik.
So Roshik was told me a whole lot of important things that I was like,
Yeah.
wait, this man has to come in the podcast. And then I asked him, well, would you be interested? So that's how
Yeah.
we got introduced. And I oh my gosh, I'm just so thankful to God that we got introduced to him because of the impact that he's made, not just in Nepal, but here in Australia as well, and quite inspirational. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tune in for
Thanks,
next
everyone.
story. We'll see you soon. Goodbye. All right.